Now, to put that into perspective, okay, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day and losing weight, okay? Whitney eats probably 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day and maintains her weight.
25 to 2,600.
Okay.
Now that I'm not nursing anymore. It was about 3,000 when I was nursing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we get people that come in all the time that are somewhere between like a 1,200 to like 1,800 calories a day. For me, according to all of the blood work that I've done over the years and body mass, body composition testing and stuff like that, my basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories that my body burns every single day if I were in like a vegetative state, just to live and exist, is 1,900 calories a day. Okay, so what's up, fit friends? Nick and Whitney here.
Nickney.
Nickney?
Nickney.
Whitnick.
No.
Today we're going to talk about nutrition. So get into kind of the nitty gritty, what our thoughts are about nutrition, what we think is the best for most people, what we've seen over time, all those sorts of things. So I have some notes over here, so if you see me looking off to the right, looking at some notes.
But also, we want to make the caveat that nutrition is so individualized for everybody and literally you could type in nutrition into Google and get 8,000 different viewpoints on it. So what we're saying is not the end all be all, obviously. I've done a lot of work with it. I'm a health coach, have a lot of the nutrition background. I know Nick has done a lot of it too. And it's still, every day really is still a learning process.
For sure. Yeah, it's one big experiment, 100%. And again, every person is individual, even for us. Whitney reacts way differently to a lot of different things than I do. There is that. So definitely do your own research. What we are going to be talking about, I think, is just a good overall starting point. But you definitely have to experiment for yourself and figure out what works for you. Okay. Again, and I've been through my own transformation over the past decade or so. I've gone, up and down in weight. I went from 270 plus pounds down to 180 pounds. So I've already had my own kind of journey. And again, that doesn't necessarily work for Whitney, who has clearly better genetics when it comes to that too. So that is also a factor.
But it also doesn't mean that I haven't been on my own journey.
100%.
Hormonally, and it might not be weight loss or gain or muscle or however you want to look at it, but it's definitely been on my own journey with it.
100%. And again, it is a journey for everyone. So with that, we'll get into it. One thing we want to start off with is, I think, keeping it simple is the best way to do that. If you are coming from, let's say, a traditional kind of American diet where you're eating out fast food a lot, you're always on the go, you're eating everything highly processed, bars all the time, protein shakes, all of that sort of stuff, going from that to just eating real whole food is going to be a great starting point. Not necessarily counting calories, tracking macros, anything like that. Just starting kind of with that whole food approach and then starting to maybe dial some stuff in from there. Thoughts on that?
Well, I think a lot of people that we talk to are like, I eat healthy for the most part.
Yeah.
And we're like,
everybody
okay.
eats clean.
And we're like, okay, what does that look like? So for me, as a health coach, when I start working with someone, I'm like, the first thing I want you to do, I don't want you to change anything. I want you to start tracking what you're eating now. And that's just writing it down. I don't even mean in an app, macros, calories, none of that. I just want to know what you're eating in a day, right? Because what we find is that most people either eat way too little or way too much. And way too much of the wrong stuff, right? Fast food, the stuff that it's basically turning into sugar in your body, and then you're just constantly starving, right? So for me, that's the best starting point, is to know where you're starting.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't know where you're going if you don't know where you're at.
Yeah. And then from there, making that shift to like, oh, I really don't eat as well as I thought. I'm not eating as much as I should. And just making it that shift to, okay, instead of eating out 5 days a week, I'm going to pack my lunch.
Right.
5 days a week, or even 3 days a week. Start small, right? We tend to make it so hard and so complicated that we give up. But that's the big thing, is keeping it simple, to the point of like, okay, on Sunday, I'm going to make the next 3 days meals, or whatever the case, whenever you find the time, right? We have to do that in our lives because we are very busy. Like, okay, what does this week look like? What are we going to make for dinner? How are we going to do, lunches for everybody? And we have to be like that because our schedule is insane. But when I started with my own journey and the health coaching and all of that, nutrition, I was vegan.
Yeah.
Right? And I had taken so much stuff out of my diet because I had hormonal acne. The biggest sign of that is it's on your chin, almost like you have a beard, right? Like I wish that I had a beard to cover it up. That's how bad it was. I wouldn't take pictures of myself. I tried everything over the counter. My skin was so raw and red, and I'm not exactly the most tan person, so it was very evident.
We should see if we can find a picture of you from back then.
gosh.
I know you didn't take a lot of them, but
I
see
did
if we can
not.
if we can find one, and I can put it in the edit. I've only seen it a few times. There's a few out there.
I did not. I hated taking pictures of myself. And I just remember one Halloween calling my mom in tears and saying, I don't have to wear a mask because I'm going to scare the kids just with how I look. Like, I would cake makeup on and then go home and wash it off, and I wouldn't go do anything. Like, I had no social life because I didn't want to. I remember juicing and like just trying all of these things, and kind of the last straw was going to the dermatologist, and they wanted to put me on Accutane, which is very hard on your body, very drying. I already had dry skin, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to give myself a year and figure this out. And it really, that's kind of where everything kicked off, because I was like, I don't want to be on medication. I don't want to like have to be so consumed with everything that I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like, so that's where my journey started. I did a sugar detox and started eating meat again, and wouldn't you know, like, I'll tell you, sugar is the biggest thing that messes with your hormones as a woman, but also as a man. And it does this. So if you're like reading this and you're just like, holy crap, that's me, or reading this, listening to this, maybe you're reading it, I don't know.
Reading with your ears.
But if you're like constantly on this up and down like hill, sugar could 1000% be it.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, like, sugar is absolutely addictive. I know, like, for me, I am 100% addicted to food and to sugar, for sure. And it's just always been a constant struggle with me. So having to deal with that, I mean, it may be, the hard decision to go just cold turkey and cut all of that stuff out because you don't have the willpower to stop from eating it. And I know that's with me, like, exactly how it is now, currently, after 10 years into my journey, and that's something that I just kind of came to the realization of a little bit more recently. So, that is something that you're going to have to deal with, and it's going to be a very, again, introspective and, self-experiment for you. with that.
But it's also where like a nutrition coach, a health coach, someone along those lines can help with that, to kind of be that guidance, right? And that's certainly not, I mean, I'm not on here trying to sell you on that, but we obviously at CFC, like I'm, again, a health coach, a nutrition coach, like we have that experience, I almost said experiment.
Experience.
And can help with that. But this is really just kind of a starting, very basic, like, nutrition talk.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there are people that can help with that. Doesn't necessarily have to be us. Find someone you trust and you want to work with. Because it really isn't, it's not a one size fits all. It really isn't.
Not at all.
I wish it were that simple. You know, they're like, don't eat this, drink that, don't do this, do this. And then everybody's like, cool, I feel and look great. But that, I mean, the things that are healthy for one person are not for another. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, 100%. With that, I think place to start is probably learning to count your macros or your calories. A calorie is basically just a unit of measurement, kind of how your body uses energy and whatnot. Okay, so with your calories, you'll have macronutrients. If you're just going to start counting your calories, it's just a matter of maybe finding an app, MyFitnessPal, or I know there's like a keto app or whatever it is. I don't really care what app it is. But just starting to log your stuff. Again, if you don't know where you're at, you don't know where you're going. You have no idea if you're actually eating healthy. You have no idea if you're under eating, overeating, anything like that. And the nutrients that you're putting into your body makes a huge difference on the results that you're going to get. I don't care. Or not get, yeah. I mean, I don't care how hard you work out, 5-7 days a week, multiple times a day. Doesn't really matter. If you're eating like a garbage truck, you're going to look like a garbage truck.
Eat like crap, feel like crap, look like crap.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason that I don't eat pizza and donuts all the time. If I could eat it and look good and feel good, I absolutely would. Okay.
He gets me on PMS. It's not fun.
Yeah. So definitely get very angry and lethargic, stuff like that. So again, just kind of everybody being different. My body does not react very well to like carbohydrates, which is a macronutrient. Okay. So calories, and then you have macronutrients. Macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbs. That's it. Okay. And each one of those macronutrients is broken down into calories. Okay. So every gram of protein and carbs is 4 calories. Okay. And then every gram of fat is 9 calories. So your fat is a more calorie dense thing. Macro. Okay.
Nutrient.
So you have those three things, when you keep track of those 3 things, that equals your total calorie count for the day, right? And I would recommend keeping a calorie count for the day. And again, figuring that out for you is a way to go. Now, to put that into perspective, okay, I'm eating 3,000 calories a day and losing weight, okay? Whitney eats probably 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day and maintains her weight.
2,500 to 2,600.
Okay.
Now that I'm not nursing anymore. It was about 3,000 when I was nursing.
Right.
Yeah.
So we get people that come in all the time that are somewhere between like a 1,200 to like 1,800 calories a day. For me, according to all of the blood work that I've done over the years and, body mass, body composition testing and stuff like that, my basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories that my body burns every single day, if I were in like a vegetative state, just to live and exist is 1,900 calories a day. Okay? So most people should be eating a good chunk of calories. And again, that comes down to what sort of calories you're eating. If you're eating, McDonald's, I haven't done the research, but if I had to guess, a like Big Mac meal is probably 1,500 to 2,000 calories just in that. So if you're eating a bunch of that, you're probably way overeating, right?
It's my stomach turn.
Right. So, and this isn't to shame anybody or anything like that, because that's where I was. 9 years ago, before I started on my keto carnivore journey, I was eating. I'd wake up, I'd go to McDonald's, and I'd get like 2 McGriddles, and then I would go to Wendy's and get a large triple Baconator combo, so Baconator and fries, and then I would go home and eat whatever I ate for dinner. So, like, I've been there. I know what being busy like that looks like, and I know what I felt like at that point. This is not throwing any shame at anybody, but
and I
again,
love French fries. Just throwing that out there.
Right. But again, if you don't know where you're coming, or if you're completely in denial on where you're at, then you're not ever going to get the results that you want, right? So this is about making whoever's watching this as healthy as possible,
Right.
and for you to figure out what works for you, okay? So that's kind of a breakdown of macros and calories.
So I think what is hard with that, and I know it was hard for me, is breaking down the macros and making it make sense. So when Nick and I met, I was eating like oatmeal for breakfast. I would do like chicken and broccoli for dinner, something simple. I would have bananas, whatever I would have for lunch. I don't even know. More paleo than anything. For me, I had a lot of blood work done. My mom has Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and that's genetic. So I had a lot of testing done for my thyroid, especially because during the time when I was vegan, all of that, I was I was so tired all the time. And I would get blood work done, and my doctors would say, "Oh, you're so healthy. If all of my patients were like you, I would have no practice." And I'm like, then why do I feel like garbage? Like, why am I tired? I would go, get up and work out because I'm obsessed with working out because I'm weird. Go to work. At the time, I think I was in school, but I had like no social life because I was tired all the time. And I got a lot of testing done and had by a nutritionist or a naturalist. And she told me if I did not eat the way that I did, aka very paleo, very low carb, even though I still had oatmeal and stuff like that, it was not, I'm gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for years.
When we started dating, if I had to guess, you're probably eating 100,
definitely more
100
carbs.
grams of carbs.
I was
plus.
more carb energy source than fat.
For sure.
But gluten-free. But if I had not been eating the way I was, then I would have had issues with my thyroid. But I think switching that to carnivore and lower carbs, higher fat has helped. But it was very intimidating when we started doing that and counting macros and figuring it out.
Yeah.
So I think helping to explain that part of it, because, okay, cool, there's macros. I knew, fat, carbs, protein, but breaking down how much of each I should have, how do people figure that out? I know I still, babe, show me show me what it is and let me go from there.
Right. So, and just want to clarify, she's not eating carnivore. She's eating
keto,
low carb kind of keto. So people who get wrapped up in kind of the labels and stuff like that, she is not a very strict carnivore or anything like that, and that's fine.
60 to 70 grams of carbs a day is where I fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still very low carb, but her body absolutely reacts so much better to carbs than mine does.
It also depends on the time of the month because I'm a lady.
That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair. And that's a very real thing too.
Yeah. So when I was coming on or about to be that time because I want more carbs.
Right.
You can tell because it's I'm good, and then all of a sudden you're like, why are you eating that? Why are you having that?
Yeah. Or she's like, I want a milkshake or whatever it is. And for sure.
Guilty.
Yeah. So how do you figure out your
for
kind of
someone,
calories?
if we're wanting to keep it simple, like how would someone who's like brand new to this and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start. Obviously, like figuring out where you are now, but if you wanted to look at where do I start macro wise, like how would you figure that out?
So I would start calorie wise, not necessarily macro wise.
Okay.
So if you have no nutrition background, and you're starting your journey with your nutrition, okay?
There's a wall there.
There's a wall there. I would recommend figuring out kind of what your goals are, right? So some people want to gain weight, gain muscle, and some people want to lose weight. I would say majority of people probably want to lose weight, right? And so if you're trying to lose weight and lose body fat, for one, figuring out where you're at again, and then I would take your kind of goal weight or ideal body weight for kind of your height, right, which you can Google that online. And then I would multiply that times 12, and that would give you kind of your total calories to kind of lose weight-ish, right, theoretically.
And then you can kind of play around there.
Yeah, then so
like
that's a good place to
results.
start.
Yeah, okay.
From there. And then if you start eating that and you just are dropping 5 pounds a week, then you know that you're way under eating, right? And then if you go there and you're starting to gain weight, then you're probably way under eating and you're going up in you're.
You mean overeating?
No, if you're gaining weight, that means you're currently you're under eating and you're adding more calories.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
So again, experimenting with yourself, right? Ideally, if you're trying to lose weight, you should be losing 1 pound to 2 a week.
Right. Healthily.
Healthy, yeah. Like if you want to be able to sustain it and turn it into a lifestyle, and you're not just like, oh yeah, I want to look good in this particular day on this particular wedding that I'm going to be in, and then after that I don't give a crap. Well, then you're not really going to make the changes necessary, right? And so it really does come down to figuring out the stuff that you want to eat that you can get results, but you enjoy eating. Because if you don't enjoy eating the food that you're eating, you're not ever going to be able to sustain it. You may be able to do it for, a month, a year, something like that. Like I cannot tell you, it's probably 3 years that I ate so much chicken, rice, and broccoli before I found keto, and was way under eating and not getting the results. So much so that now I cannot eat chicken unless it's a chicken wing. So just the thought of like eating chicken breasts or chicken thighs makes my stomach turn. So you got to figure that out kind of for yourself.
Mine's probably peanut butter and jelly, which is so good, but like I ate that for lunch when I was on my vegan kick. And it's good, but now I'm just kind of like, no, I'm good.
I wish I could eat them and look good and feel good. Peanut butter and jelly is probably my favorite sandwich.
I probably ate them too much. That's my problem.
Or like a peanut butter fluff.
Tell me how you really feel.
Right. So that's kind of where I would start for counting calories and macros, stuff like that. Okay.
Well, so then what would the next step be? Like, how would you break down how many carbs, how many proteins, how many fats?
So then you have to figure out the type of nutrition that you kind of want to stick with, right? So your body can only kind of get its energy off of one thing or the other, right? You have to have protein, okay? Protein is what builds your muscles. It's a necessary nutrient for your body.
For like literally everything.
For everything.
Yeah.
You have to have fat because fat is literally the backbone of every single hormone and process in your body, pretty much for everything. So everything that breaks down basically attaches to fat, and that's kind of how it breaks, like your blood-brain barrier and all that sort of stuff, to get the nutrients to where it needs to go inside of your body. So you have to have those two things. The only macronutrient that you don't technically need is carbohydrate. Okay, and I know that's going to be controversial. We're probably going to get some crap for that, but it's true. Okay, now if you're going to choose carbohydrates as your energy source, then you have to have enough that you're not feeling low on energy and such, but not so much that you're overeating and whatnot, okay? And you have to have your fat low enough that you still have hormone balance.
It's like 55 grams of
Yeah,
fat.
you need at least that.
Yeah.
To keep
Especially
your
for
hormones
women.
balanced
As
throughout
we
your
get older,
cuts
ladies,
and stuff.
that needs to be a little bit higher.
Right.
Yeah, because we go through a lot of hormonal stuff. So much fun.
So, you know, don't think that you can just cut out all fats and that you're going to be okay, because you're not. You may be okay at first, but you're going to get to a point where body processes are going to start to crash. You're going to start to get super lethargic. You have to have fats, guys.
And here's where the confusion comes in. If you are eating high carbs and high fat, your body has no idea which one to use for its fuel source, and that's when you start holding on to the weight, right? So when people are like, "Oh, well, I'm eating this way," and then you look at the ratio between like the number, like their grams of carbs and their grams of fat, and they're equal. Well, it's like, well, yeah, you're not getting results because your body is confused. So you have to do one or the other, and that's, you know, when we're talking about carnivore, Nick gets most of his energy source from fats. Right, he does. I mean,
right now
so
I get
minimal carbs.
all of my energy source from fats, because I'm not eating anything really with carbs. I mean, there might be some slight carb, and like cheese occasionally.
Yeah. But the big thing with
like,
that,
I'm eating just meat. I'm not eating any vegetables. I'm not eating any anything.
I don't eat any vegetables either.
So
keto carnivore, you have to make sure you're getting the salt too. I think that's where a lot of people also go wrong.
Sure.
So.
But
yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yes.
But again, you have to pick what you're going to do. Okay. So.
And that's all experimental too. Like
yes.
some people don't realize. For me, it was the carbs were very inflammatory. I have athletic-induced asthma. I had bronchitis in college, and eating high carbs made it very hard for me to breathe, especially during high-intensity workouts like CrossFit. And I could tell in my joints. So when Nick and I met, and he's like, "Well, if I'm cooking for you, you're eating what I'm making." I made the switch to keto.
To be clear, I said, I will cook for you, but I'm not cooking two separate things. So if you want me to cook for you, I will cook that, and we can add a carb or something for you, but I'm not making like steak for myself and then cooking her chicken. Was not going to happen. And so that was the conversation we had probably within the first couple dates that we went on, because
he's not wrong. I just, you interpret it differently, right? But yeah, when I cut out a lot of the carbs, I noticed a huge difference. And the secondary thing to that was dairy was very inflammatory for me.
I would argue for most people.
For most, yeah, you're not wrong.
But it's one of those mental things that they're like, "Oh, I can't get rid of cheese," and people say the same thing about bread and
mac and cheese
carbs
was my
and all that sort of stuff, and it's like
food of choice, like comfort food, mac and cheese all day, like, and I will eat it now. I'll make gluten-free pasta, and I'll eat cheese. I just don't do it daily like I used to.
Yeah. And me either. And
yeah.
I lost a lot of my weight eating cheese.
Yeah.
And so again, going back to that experiment, I didn't realize that was causing inflammation and stuff because I was getting results until I cut it out. And when I say I was eating cheese, like when I got on this keto journey, I would stop by like a Harris Teeter, and I would get a package of some sort of like salami or pepperoni or something like that, and then I would get a block of cheese, and that was my meal for that meal. and then I would go home and have just steak or whatever it was.
Are you finishing?
I'm
Are you
done.
finished with that thought?
Yeah.
Okay, so we go like this, and then we'll bring it back. How do you determine the ratio? So start with easy. Like if people are using, because most people are using carbs for their fuel source. So start there. So minimum 55 grams of fat.
Yeah.
We have
So-
that set.
Yeah. So minimum that, I would argue you should be eating a gram per pound of ideal body weight for protein.
Is it a gram or a gram and a half?
It could be either.
Okay.
You're not really going to overeat protein.
It's more like whatever your ideal body weight is, that is how many grams of fat, or excuse me, protein,
Right.
right? Okay.
Yeah. So if you're doing that, doing like that generally is like a 40, 30, 30, I think is what it is, what the kind of percentages
I think so.
come out to. I think it's 30 or 40 grams or 40% protein, 30% fat, 30% carbs, or 40%.
I think it might be 40% carbs.
40% carbs,
30%
30
protein.
fat and protein. Okay. So,
See,
Start there.
we're confused too.
right. So, I mean, it's hard, right? Again, it's a big experiment for
Yeah.
everybody. And a lot of people, I mean, honestly, I would argue that most people shouldn't be on that many carbs. That's a lot of carbs.
What? And I agree.
That's a lot of carbs.
But
Most people
I think
don't.
that's why most people don't want to do this, is because it is so confusing.
Yeah.
You're like, how many of this should I have, and how many of this should I have? And it's, I mean, here's the thing. Like, okay, so how do you calculate 2,500 calories if you're doing 55 grams of fat, and then say like I roughly sit around 145, right? So if I'm eating 145 grams of protein, like where would my carbs fall in? To make it simple, I'm 5'3", just so y'all know. I'm little. I'm pint size.
So for me, I'm a little bit OCD, so I would say you'd be eating 150 grams of protein for sake of ease. 150 grams of protein times 4 calories per gram.
Okay.
So that gives you the calories that you're eating in protein.
Okay.
If you're doing 55 grams of fat, that's times 9.
Okay.
And then if you have your total calories already, then I would just subtract those two. That would give you your carbs.
Okay.
So, but again, that's, I mean, whatever that is, was about 500 calories in fat. 150 times 4, you're looking at 6. So you're looking at 1,000 calories for those. If you're eating, that's 1,500 divided by 4. That's a lot of carbs. Like that's a whole lot.
And when we experimented with it and switched from fat to carbs, and he
I gained weight. When we did that, I went from like 3,000 calories or 3,000 calories a day, I think, or I was eating like 3,500 calories a day, something like that. We switched it. I went down to like 2,500 or 2,600 calories. And I gained like 20 pounds in a month. So I was 1,000 calories less than what I was eating before the switch and gaining weight like I was overeating.
And mine, like, I didn't notice the difference in how I looked or like weighed. Mine was itchy. Like, I got so itchy. I don't know if it was just histamines in like the carbs or something, but like literally like around my face, and just, I would wake up with just scratch marks because I was so itchy all over. It was crazy.
Yeah, we did it, for like 2 months? Like, we did it
Something.
over the summer or something like that?
Yeah.
Which is not, like, that's not what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting to not feel great because I was, my body was so used to fat.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting to, like, gain weight like that.
And we just didn't feel great.
Yeah, didn't feel
Like,
great, super tired,
yeah.
lethargic,
Everything kinda
after
hurt.
meals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And honestly, you get to a point where you're like that clean. I was like force feeding myself, like with the rice and sweet
hard.
potatoes and stuff. It was
Yeah.
so hard to eat that
much.
much. And like,
Our
I
bowel
get it now.
movements
Yeah.
changed.
Like I didn't, it was very
yeah.
constipated. Like it was not great. So, and you can, maybe attribute that to the fact that I've eaten keto carnivore for so long that my body's so used to it.
We're doing a podcast.
We're doing a
You want to say
podcast,
hi?
bud. You want to say hi?
You look sleepy. Do you want to tell him? Do you want to tell him what your nutrition is like?
What that? What that?
It's a microphone.
The microphone?
Microphone.
Well, what that?
I think it's called a fuzzy cat.
The fuzzy cat?
Yep. So for you, he had really bad eczema. We definitely have pictures of that. We can roll that in.
For sure.
And so that was super fascinating because he was,
Okay.
what was he, a year and a half?
Maybe.
Year and a half. And we took him finally to a dermatologist.
That was
And
the
so-
big yawn. I got the big yawn now.
Oh, the big yawn.
Yeah, I got the big yawn now.
Okay, let Daddy tell
Okay.
the story. Let's look in the bag, okay?
So we took him to the dermatologist, and when he went to the dermatologist, they did the skin allergy test where they scraped the different things on his back and all that, which he's a trooper on.
Yeah.
My cake. I want,
There's no cake. Do you want popcorn?
I want my cake.
There's no cake.
I did cake.
Excuse me. You want
No,
steak?
yeah.
I don't eat my water. My water.
You want water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, this is life, guys.
There's no honey. There's no water.
Here, you want
You
here.
want some? You want some
Have
of
a
Daddy's
sip of
drink?
Fit Aid. But we got that skin allergy test with him,
Good job.
and
All right, go watch PJ
with that they
Masks.
said, oh yeah, he's not allergic to anything. He has no allergies, no known allergies, anything like that. And then they were like, yeah, we're just gonna put him on a shot of like Dupixent
I
or
think.
something.
Yeah.
I think for the rest of his life. It's like he's a year and a half, like, and we're gonna subject him
Monthly.
injection for a year and a half. Like,
It was crazy.
yeah, for the rest. I mean, let's assume he lives to 75 years old. We're gonna do 74 years of shots. No.
Well,
And
it's
so,
just
and they
so
said it
crazy
wasn't
'cause
nutrition.
Yeah.
It's like, well, why wouldn't it be nutrition? Considering when he eats certain things, he breaks out more.
Well, that's
And so we had to get very strict with him for a
And
bit,
with me,
and
I-
with her
I was
because
nursing, yeah.
when she was nursing, if she would eat stuff, it would pass on to him, right? And so again, going back to the experiment stuff, we had to cut a lot of stuff out for him.
Yeah.
So now we know kind of
the triggers.
what triggers him for those things, and he still has it. We still have a steroid cream that we have to put on him occasionally because we're not going to just not let him enjoy life sometimes. Like we go, not to mention if you have a 3-year-old, you're very familiar. If you go to a party or a event or something and there's stuff there, like he's going to throw a fit if you don't let him have it occasionally, right? And so we're not going to let him overeat, but we might occasionally let him eat things that we know are going to break him out.
It was
Because
so bad
it's
though.
life.
It was so
Yeah,
so
well, I'll roll
raw
in some
and
pictures
red
of
and
that.
itchy.
Yeah.
And the big one was eggs. Like I didn't eat eggs for probably 11 weeks, from 11 weeks being pregnant on until he was maybe 3 months old, 6 months old, something like that. Because I just had such an aversion to them. Ugh. And
Yeah.
I'm still kind of weird about eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he can eat egg whites now. We've learned that, and he'll
Yeah.
ask for them. So it's something, I guess, in the yolk.
Maybe, yeah. Or maybe it's too much of it. Like I gave him some of mine, so we'll see if he breaks out. But like I eat eggs all the time, and occasionally I'll give him some of my, because I eat the whole egg. Definitely not just the
I eat
egg
the whole
white.
egg too.
And so we'll see. But it's
Yeah.
definitely, again, that experiment to figure that out. And it's a constant kind of shift because sometimes something might break him out, and then others it might
won't,
not, right? So
Well, I think that's what drives me so crazy. You guys are not even going to believe this, but when doctors and medical people in general going through all of their schooling, I think get one class on nutrition.
Right.
And it's very basic.
Yeah.
And it's like, how, to me, if you think about everything that you put in your body, on your body, whatever the case may be, affects you in some way or another, right? If everything that we eat is what gives us our fuel and either fuels us and makes us feel better or makes us feel like crap, why wouldn't the food that he's eating be affecting his eczema?
Right.
Like, really, like, logically think about it. For a doctor to say it's not anything he's eating, we're just going to give him this medicine, which, by the way, they then get a kickback for. What? Like, what?
So,
Guys, open your eyes to it, though. Like,
So having a conversation with Andy about that, I'm not sure it's like a direct kickback.
well, I know, but they get
yeah.
benefits from it. We'll put it that way.
You know, we're gonna have I'm gonna have Andy on the podcast, who is a doctor. He's in the Navy, I think, and has been a doctor for a long time, and we'll talk about that some because he kind of changed my mind about that. I didn't understand that, but
I don't get me wrong.
But
There are times and places where medicine is key, right?
100%.
But if it's just this, instead of let's focus on what you're putting in your body, how you're working out or not, let's just put you on this medicine without changing anything else. Like, that's, I think, as a society, that's where things have gone sideways.
Right.
Yeah.
And so 2 things about that. One, there's no quick fix.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a journey throughout your life of figuring that stuff out for you. Okay. While some results, yes, you may, let's say, lose a lot of body weight fast, doesn't mean that is a typical thing, right? So it may be a year process for you to lose the weight, and then another year to 5 years, something like that, to build your body up to what you have in your mind, right? So that's that. And then 2, I would argue that 90, probably conservatively, 90% of medical issues, I would argue, would be completely cured with nutrition and the right nutrition.
I agree.
The problem is people don't really want it. They want the pill. They want the fix. Yeah, and it is expensive, but
It's
again,
expensive to eat healthy. Like,
it's
that's what
expensive
drives
to
me
eat
crazy.
healthy, but it's
Yeah.
also expensive to go to the doctor.
I know, you're not
If you're
wrong.
going to the doctor all the time, then
I know.
that's not cheap. So like us, we don't ever go to the doctor.
Yeah. I go to the
I think-
dermatologist because I'm blessed with skin cancer scares. Yay, pale skin. Woo, woo!
I mean, I think the last time I went to the doctor was when I had strep throat right before we.
We've had physicals, but yeah.
Yeah, we've gone for routine stuff,
Yeah.
but blood work or whatever. But I don't think I've gone to the doctor sick
yeah.
since I had strep throat right before we got married. So over 5 years ago. I don't get sick.
So 6 years ago. Thank you very much.
6 years ago. Okay. And she doesn't go to the doctor either, again, except for the dermatologist. And we'll occasionally go get physicals or whatnot. But even at this point, I don't even care about getting a physical because I feel good for the most part. And
They're just going to tell us.
they're just going to tell us that,
Our body fat percentage
our
is
body
too
fat,
high.
which is wild.
Yeah.
That's not an accurate thing. And there's so many people still going off of BMI, which is such a wild thing to me, for you to measure the circumference of your neck and your waist, and then for them to do some sort of a calculation to say that you're fat or not.
Well, to put it in perspective, I'm 5'3", and at 145 pounds, I'm overweight. I'm
Right.
considered overweight.
And
But
she
I'm
is
not.
significantly leaner than me, but I'm at the higher percentages of abs being visible. lean, and like, and like
That was
I'm
such
not
a nice way of
morbidly
saying it.
obese, right? Like,
But people get so caught
They
up
get
in
so
that,
caught
and
up.
that's when they're like the undereating and bulimia, like the anorexia, like the
100%. Or like
eating
me,
disorders.
body
It
dysmorphia.
is.
Like it's a real thing.
I would say
like,
I have body dysmorphia too because I'm like at my mom's house. I feel like I'm so much bigger than I am. So even like the fitter people who, like I've never been overweight in my life.
right,
Maybe being pregnant,
arguable.
but I was I mean, I still struggle with, do I look okay in this? Like
Yeah.
it isn't just like you, right? Like
100%.
it's like I still struggle with that. Like, are you sure I look okay in this? Should I wear this? Like, I don't want to show my belly. Like,
Right. And I think a lot of that comes from society, and especially like the culture of just the world right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everybody wants to fit in, and everybody's seeing, Instagram models and like YouTube and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, you're looking at the highlight reel of people's life
That they want to show.
that they want to
Yeah.
show, because
Yeah.
people are not going to post the fat pictures of themselves on Instagram. Most people don't, and especially if you're making your money
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
Instagram,
you're
right?
not- yeah.
If you're a fitness model or something, like you're going to get the perfect angle and the perfect lighting and the bikini fits you perfectly, or whatever it is.
What's not the apps, the filters.
Yeah, and you have
Yeah,
all the filters
yeah.
and stuff, and even take what we're doing here, like
We're unfiltered, by the way.
but like there's editing and all of this sort of stuff, and it's like people get so wrapped up into that, and they start comparing themselves to where those people are, and again, not knowing anything about them. Like if you looked at Whitney now versus 10 years ago, they don't look like the same person, right? How fit she is and how strong she is and how jacked she looks now is not what she looked like 10 years ago. So it's been a journey. It's she didn't just start CrossFit, and that's another thing we hear specifically from women is, I don't want to look bulky, and it's like that takes years and years of dedication and nutrition and working out hard and working out consistently to even think about looking. And again, unless you're just blessed genetically.
And I ask people all the time, like, do I look bulky?
Right.
Like,
So,
Yeah.
and it's wild. So,
excuse me. I'm tickled.
but yeah, I mean, I think you can't really overeat protein. Not really. Not really. Because I mean, if you start eating too much protein, you're just going to get full.
Yeah.
You're just going to be really full. You're not going to want to eat anymore.
And not for a lot of people, when they come to us and they get overwhelmed with macros, I tell them that. I'm like, focus on protein,
Yeah.
right?
it's
Like, focus on getting enough protein each meal, and
which
that
majority of people
yes,
don't.
especially women.
Yeah.
We don't need enough.
I don't
and
know
that's
why.
Look, you work out or you CrossFit or whatever you do, if you're breaking down your muscle and you are not eating a protein, guess what? You're not rebuilding the muscle. That's why it's so
you're
important.
you're not going to get lean. You're
No.
not going to be muscular.
That's what makes you lean is
Yeah.
having the muscle. Like, look lean.
Toned.
I'm sorry, toned. That's what
You're not going to get toned without cutting the body fat and building the muscle.
Yeah.
Cutting the body fat so that your muscles actually show, and having enough muscle that you actually look toned. That is what gives you that toned look, guys, ladies. Like, that's what it is.
Protein. It's what's for dinner. I couldn't even say it right. I messed it up.
So yeah, I mean, I think for us, I specifically eat carnivore. Again, fighting with my own food addiction problems, I can't have carbs. When I do, I want more of them, which turns into a vicious spiral. So I have to really maintain that sort of stuff.
And he's been better about it. Since he's kind of come to that realization, we've eaten out a couple times. What he used to do is
3.
yeah, like, well,
3 times.
I've already done this, so I might as well just continue eating.
Yeah.
And I could tell a lot of it. I hope you don't
You're good.
care that I share this. That there was a lot of shame behind it. Like, it's made me cry. Everything makes me cry. Have y'all realized that yet?
There is. I mean,
I would
there
come
is.
in the kitchen and he would be like eating a bowl of cereal or something, and he would like, when I would turn the corner, he'd be like that slow, like, crap, I got caught, right? Like, is that accurate?
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
does not
shame.
he does not do that anymore. We went to Mexican Friday night, and he moved the chips away from him. Like, it's a recognition, right? Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to come on here and fool you guys. Like, it's not easy, right? It's not a quick fix. You didn't gain the weight overnight, right?
Oh.
It has to be sustainable, and it has to be a lifestyle. Like, when we're talking about,
And
you
guys,
have to
it took
enjoy
me
it.
9 years.
Yeah, it took me like
Over
5.
9 years to come to that realization. Over 9 years. Yes, I got results. Yes, I've kind of kept the weight off, but I have fluctuated, in 20 to 40 pound swings over the years because of that addiction that I was fighting that I didn't address as an addiction. And, when you do come to that realization and actually need help, it's funny how God provides the help and the mentality into it and, like, the spirit of it. So,
And we're not saying never enjoy yourselves. Like, we definitely love sweets. We have birthday cakes for the boys. We make them gluten-free. We enjoy that stuff. We just do it in moderation and not that often, because it is very easy. Put it in perspective. We found out in December 2020 that I was pregnant. Like, seriously, we should have a whole conversation about that. Miracle baby. We drove to my mom's house, and that night, I don't know if you guys have ever had no-bake cookies. My mom had all of the ingredients for it. I don't know why. She doesn't even eat like that. All of the ingredients for it. We made them, and I'm pretty sure ate all of them in the first night.
it was a whole big cookie sheet.
Like oats
Of no-bake
and
cookies.
peanut butter and a shiz ton of sugar and chocolate. I mean, like, so good. But
They're delicious, but that's the problem.
Right? Yeah.
There's so much delicious stuff.
Yes.
And again, it comes down to people not really wanting it or thinking that they do, but not wanting to put in the work, which is where all of the medicines and stuff like that come in, because it's an easy, quick fix of, like,
I don't think we've had no-bake cookies since then.
no, because I'm not going to
No,
make them.
and that's fine. Like, I think at that point we were in the mindset of, like,
I think we were defeated.
yeah, we had
I
lost
think
Kinsley.
we had 6 miscarriages.
yeah.
We had lost our daughter, Kinsley.
in May of
And
that
then
year.
right before we left for that trip, we found out that the eggs that
We had started IVF.
we had started that. They weren't viable. And so we felt defeated and emotional. And so we took all the ish with us to eat and got down there.
I don't think
and then
we cared.
We didn't care. We stopped caring. So we ate no-bake cookies. We ate pizza. We ate all the stuff. And it's like, that's how hard the mentality is, though, to get rid of. It's like, I think in today's society, it makes it so easy to, especially to emotional eat.
Oh, yeah.
And who doesn't have things going on in their life that make them emotional?
Yeah.
Or in one way or another.
Yeah.
There's always something to celebrate. There's always something, YOLO, or like,
Yeah.
or like there's always bad stuff going on. So it's like you always have the occasion to eat and do whatever you
always
want.
make an excuse.
You can always make an
Yes.
excuse. And
Yep.
it's like figuring that stuff out for you is and really making that decision is the hardest thing to do. But once you do it, it can be life-changing. And again, does not have to be 110%.
Yeah.
all the time, I can never have another sweet or anything like that, but you do maybe have to recognize like, okay, this is a problem or can be a problem. Addiction does run in my family. Oh, what? Maybe I'm susceptible to addiction, even though I don't really believe in addiction, sort of thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, crap. Well, that explains the past 9 years and why I've struggled. You know, it's like, it is what it is. Let's take the reality of the situation and let's move forward from there. You know, we're just trying to get a little bit better every day, right? We can't hold on to the shame of the past, which I did.
Yeah. I think we all do. With
Yeah, I
something.
mean, you can't necessarily hold
Yeah.
on to that stuff. Like, we have to be able to let it go
Yeah.
and move on from there. Because if you don't let it go, you're always going to go back to that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's a reason that the rear view mirror is significantly smaller than the windshield.
Yeah.
You know.
I think the other thing with that, and I don't think people realize this, if you are not feeding your body what it needs nutritionally, you're always going to be hungry. So for instance, if you're waking up and eating Apple Jacks for breakfast, and then in like an hour later you're starving
Captain,
again.
switch from Apple Jacks and go to Captain Crunch. It's way better.
I'm just any of that high sugar cereal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're having a bagel, I mean, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like,
all the same thing.
right? It
Like,
all converts to sugar in your body, and then you're just starving because your body's like, wait a minute, I didn't get what I need to fuel myself for the day. All you gave me was sugar, and now you have this huge crash, right? Where, okay, cool, I'm on a high, I'm getting stuff done, and then you're like, oh boy, I feel like crap, I don't have any energy, I need to eat something. So then maybe, okay, let me grab a donut, because they have them in the lunchroom at work. And then you're like, okay, cool, I feel good. And then you're like, oh boy, I feel like crap again. So let me eat whatever, right? It's a huge thing. And I did that. I was massively addicted to sugar. I think I talked about it in my video, having the vegan cookbook, like sweet treats, like the healthy sweet treats, right?
Yeah.
And I would do one every night after dinner. And hormonal acne, like the sugar crashes and the up and down. You want to talk about mood swings? Like, holy cow. I had the worst. First off, hormones in general just suck, right? I mean, women here, like, yes, I can see you guys nodding. And then you add in like this sugar up and down, and it's just like, bam, you're like, ah, at everything, right? Like, it just is. And when I did my sugar detox and realized that I could be more even keel throughout the day and feel better and look better, like, holy shiz, like, I mean, like night and day. Because if you're fueling your body the way that it should be, and again, experimental, right? Like, he and I still eat very differently.
not very differently. We still have
It's the majority the same,
similar
but
template.
yeah. I definitely eat
but
more carbs than he does.
He
Yes.
definitely eats more carbs than me.
But we feel better. We have more energy. Like, even though I don't sleep the greatest, I never have, and now going into my mid 40s, I'm going through more hormonal changes, so it's even worse. I still
Early 40s.
I mean, I'll be 43. That's almost
I know.
mid 40s.
Early 40s. Trying to give you the benefit of the doubt there.
I don't know. I have to ask him all the time how old I am, so it is what it is. But it does make such a difference, because if all you're feeding your body is carbs and sugar, and you're not getting the nutrients that you need, you're constantly going to be starving. So then you're definitely going to be overeating, which is where a lot of that weight gain comes from.
Yeah, I mean, I would, for sure. Yeah, that's why I say you only have so much willpower.
Yeah.
When it comes to a diet, because, like, again, you can only eat it for so much. You might get a couple months, you might get a year, maybe two. Like,
Well, I think,
but then there's a reason that, like, bodybuilders and stuff like that struggle highly with body dysmorphia and stuff too. It's like, because you are eating the same sort of stuff routine, just day in, day out. You get over it, and you can't be that strict all the time.
Well, I think diet is such a restrictive word.
Right.
Like that just, it's what can't I have? And I think that shift needs to be made to be like, okay, what can I have? Like what do I choose to eat to fuel my body? What makes me feel the best? What helps me the most in my workouts? Like, and on this day, like, okay, I'm going to choose to eat maybe something that I know I'm going to have a reaction to because I want to enjoy whatever the situation is. And then tomorrow, the next meal, I'm going to get right back on it. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, okay, I've already eaten this way, so my whole day is gone to crap. Like,
Which is how I was.
yeah, like then, okay, cool. You ate something maybe you shouldn't have or you didn't want to, or you had whatever the case may be. He's actually been really, really good. Next meal, right back on it. Like, it really is that mentality that you have to get. And it has to be a lifestyle. It really does.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to get the long-term results that you want, it
Yeah.
has to be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so you have to enjoy what you're actually eating, right?
Because if you don't, you're just not going to eat it.
Yeah.
You're going to open your cabinets or your fridge and you're going to look and you're just going to be like, and then you're going to grab something easy.
Right.
Yep.
So we do keto carnivore just because like that's how we feel the best and that's the food that we enjoy eating.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to like steaks, sausage, bacon.
Like, I'll eat sausage with hummus. He just
eggs.
eats the sausage. Yeah.
You know,
Making my stomach growl.
all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if I could eat ribeye steak every day, I'd be a pretty happy guy. You know, I don't know why it's got to be so expensive. Jeez. But like when you find the stuff that you enjoy, like you actually want to eat those things. It's not like, oh, this is a struggle. Like I have to eat this again. Yeah, it's just like.
Doesn't have to be chicken every meal.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be chicken and broccoli.
Yeah. Again, I don't ever.
Broccoli made me so gassy. Whew.
The only time I eat
Whew,
chicken
doggy.
is if we're doing chicken wings.
Yep.
And now, you know, I used to get them with all the sauces and stuff like that. Now I just do with like a medium sauce.
Oh, I thought it was like, it's not like elastic. Sorry. I let my intrusive thoughts win.
So, medium hot sauce. So there's not a whole lot of carbs there, but there is some.
Yeah.
And then we make sure that we're drinking a lot of water. So both of us, both of us drink about a gallon of water a day, if not more. The cup that you see her sipping from holds 3 12-ounce bubbly cans. I have this bottle here that I
Come here.
start off with a gallon of water every day. I put half a teaspoon of salt in the bottle and then a couple of hydration sticks. And then I will just pour straight from there into that bottle until that is gone. And then I go to bubbly after that. So water, there's a lot of science to back. Obviously, you want to stay hydrated. Most people are historically dehydrated. And then there's a lot of science to back up keto, carnivore as just an overall lifestyle. And I think most people would do better going to that, either keto or carnivore. If you want to go keto, it's a matter of switching out those macros, macro percentages, right? If you're doing carbs,
Hydration stick. It goes in water, baby. You can't eat it.
if you're eating carbs,
Okay.
here,
When we're done, okay?
I told you, I have some.
Have some of Daddy's. We're almost done, baby.
Okay, we'll put it in there in just a minute, okay?
Go watch PJ Masks. Oh, okay, bring me a
All right,
bottle of water.
all right, take it with you. Take it with you. We'll put it in there in a minute, okay? Okay. If you are going keto, then switching up those macros, okay, to still doing 1 gram per pound of body weight, which should be about 25% of your total calories. 70% fat and 5% or less of carbs, right? And so generally that goes to about 30 grams of carbs a day, which is very low carb. for you. And if you're going to do that, then obviously your body will take a little bit to adapt, because historically most people are not going to eat like that or have not eaten like that. And so it takes a while to adapt. Now you'll hear people talk about like keto flu. Keto flu, generally two things. You're either eating too lean of meat. It's hard to switch over to the fattier cuts of meat, right? 80-20 burger, or like a ribeye steak versus like a sirloin or something like that that's very lean, or like a chicken that's very lean. So making sure you have enough fat, and then most people are not getting enough magnesium and sodium in their nutrition when they do switch to keto. So you need to make sure you're adding salt to your liking, to the flavor that you like on your meats and stuff like that. And then just make sure you are eating the green leafy vegetables that you want to eat, or like very low sugar fruits like blueberries and stuff like that. You're obviously going to have to monitor that a little bit, maybe some nuts or something, but you just have to be careful with that stuff, right? And then cook it all in butter. It's pretty simple. And when you go carnivore, it's even more simple, because I don't have to worry about anything. And the more that I'm studying, the more I'm figuring out kind of where I've been going wrong, maybe with carnivore too, because I try to do like a dirty, I guess, carnivore, because I'm eating like lunch meat and stuff like that. And there's preservatives and stuff like that that could potentially affect you when you're trying to get like the weight loss and stuff. So, still learning things even a decade into it. There's a lot of people in the nutrition group that we're a part of that, confide in me in kind of carnivore, keto areas, because it's, I guess, not super well known. And so I'm still trying to learn myself, and there's obviously always new science and stuff coming out, but there's lots of doctors out there now that are doing a lot of research and stuff. You can look up Dr. Chafee. I've been watching a lot of his stuff. Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Sean Baker, Dr. Paul Saladino. That's just 4 off the top of my head of people that are kind of in the forefront of the keto, carnivore kind of lifestyle. So, and again, everybody wants to attach a label to it, but it's really just eating real food. If you're eating real food, you're generally going to get okay results, and it may take time, which is fine, because if you figure out the lifestyle that you want to live. I mean, for me, for example, when I started, when I was 270 pounds, I was mid-20s, so it took me 25 years, we'll say, to get to where I was, right? And then it takes me time to lose the weight and then build the muscle back up. Now we're a decade in, and I'm finally to a point where I'm okay with kind of where I'm at. And it's like, it took a decade. Damn, I wanted it to happen the first month, It's like, it's hard. So you have to figure out the lifestyle that works for you, for sure. But definitely make sure that you guys are drinking plenty of water. I mean, you can, again, work out 7 days a week, multiple times a day, and if you aren't eating right, you're not sleeping right, you're not getting enough water, you're not going to get the results that you want. So all of this stuff, again, becomes a lifestyle of the way that you want to live, so that you can have a better future.
For sure.
It's something I think people in general kind of deal with, just kind of the things that they've done in their past. We went to the church thing today, and just thinking a lot about that, and a lot of shame and stuff that comes with that. Well, the same thing happens in nutrition, right? But that's the beautiful thing about the future. And like for us, we believe in God, and thank God that He did what He did for us, because like the more we delve into the mistakes and stuff we've made in the past, like the more and more I feel unworthy of the fact that He did what He did. Well, it's kind of the same thing in nutrition. Like if you have all of this shame and guilt looking back on your past, how can you ever focus on the future and where you're going, right? And that's something that I've struggled with for a long time, and I didn't realize it until recently. So it takes time, guys. Give yourself grace. Just because you have one bad meal or something that's not on this arbitrary diet that you've chosen, like, doesn't mean that everything's out the window.
Yeah.
You know, if you're 30 pounds down, if you're 50 pounds down and you have one bad meal, you're not going to gain 50 pounds back.
Right.
And that's something that you have kind of this imposter syndrome going from being big to being smaller. Like, you always have that fear kind of in the back of your head. But if you're on this journey for yourself, you're learning a new skill right now, right?
Yeah.
And anything, if you learn a skill, it takes time to kind of tweak that skill to work, right? Like, you didn't jump into your career the first day and you're like, yes, I got it all figured out. Let's go. It's like, no, you had on-the-job training. Like, you have to work your way through the experiences and struggle through the things that you screw up at your job so that you can learn the things so that in the future you can be the dude to train people, right? And that's kind of how, or girl, I don't want to leave you ladies out, you know, and it's just like, don't beat yourself up just because you made a mistake.
And don't throw it all away just because you made a mistake. Like, all of your hard work, the learning, like he said, you know, if you're on the journey and you've lost 50 pounds, you know, like, oh, just don't throw it in the towel because you had one either bad meal, bad day, whatever the case may be. Like, it's really is all just a learning process and doing it day to day and enjoying life. We have one life to live. Like, you might as well enjoy it, A, but B, like, be the healthiest and happiest you can be. Like, choose your hard, right?
Yeah, you choose your heart,
Yeah.
choose your heart,
Yeah.
choose your sore, you know? Like, you're gonna be sore
Yeah.
whether you're sitting at a desk working behind a computer all day or driving around because you chose a career that drives all the time, or you can be sore because you worked out and made your body stronger. Well, same thing comes to nutrition. Choose your hard. Life can be hard because you eat like crap and you're in the hospital all the time because you don't take your health seriously. Or life can be hard because you've chosen to be dedicated to yourself and to do the hard things to give you the best life possible moving forward. So choose your hard. It's that simple. You have anything to add?
I do not.
All right.
I'm ready to go home and eat, though.
Right. We got some flank steak, so it's gonna be good.
Gabriel's ready to go home and eat, too.
So with that being said, guys, I hope this was good. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. If you got some information out of this, please like it, share it with some friends. I know there's a lot of us that struggle with nutrition, and I wish somebody would have shared some stuff with me that were very open and candid. It seems like everybody is kind of very polished, and clearly we are not. So, there's that. So we're just trying to change, you know, getting a little bit better every day. Okay.
He needed it, and now he doesn't need it.
So, with that,
All right, you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Say stay fit,
Stay fit.
stay safe.
Stay safe.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Bye, y'all.